All right, thanks for coming. I'm Robert Kazarek with KLW Municipal Inc. We're a contractor that's been selected to work with in partnership with the assessor's office. We're a full-service real estate appraisal company based out of Buffalo, New York. However, our municipal company, this is all we do, is consult with municipalities to do actually all or part of a reassessment project. In this case, it's part. The assessor's office, they're doing the data verification. We're going to do the sales analysis and valuation. The goal of the project is to establish uniform, fair, and equitable assessments on all real property types. It's important to know reassessment does not raise tax levies. The tax levy stays the same from year to essentially the same from year to year because of the 2% tax cap. But what a reassessment does is an equitable redistribution of property tax. Property taxes in New York and as well as across the country are an ad valorem tax. They are at value. So we pay property taxes based on what our properties are worth. We talk about budget versus levy. We have to remember that the taxing jurisdiction, the county, the city, the town, school district, fire districts, they create a budget, and what the budget is what the monies that they need to operate the municipal services. These municipalities or these taxing jurisdictions get revenue from different sources. There's school aid that comes from New York State, there's federal aid and state aid that may go to the municipality. There's also fees that are applied from like permits and things like that. So what the municipality will do is take their budget, what they need to operate. We'll get all their funding sources of what they're receiving. What's left is what is called the levy. The levy is the money that is raised through taxation. When we look at assessment equity, which is like the goal of this project, we want assessment equity is when properties that are assessed at a uniform percent of value, and then all properties with similar values pay similar taxes. If all assessments are similar to their market value, okay, then all the taxpayers are paying their fair share. Nobody wants to, I own property, I don't want to pay taxes, but I have to. But I don't want to pay more than I should. At the same time, there are people that are paying more than what they should be paying. And that happens when there's assessment inequity. If one property or a neighborhood is significantly underassessed, not only are they paying too little in their share of taxes, but then the rest of the municipality is making up for it. So other properties are paying more than what they should be paying. An example of inequitable assessments could be similar to this. So in 2012, these two properties that are fairly similar were both had market values of $200,000, and their assessment was also $200,000. Fast forward 13 years, I still didn't fix the slide. Fast forward 13 years, property A appreciates in value and is now worth $600,000. Property B also appreciated, but not as much as property A. It is worth $400,000. What ends up happening is that both properties are still paying the same amount of taxes, but property A at a market value of $600,000 is paying less than their fair share, and property B is maybe making up for it and paying more than what they should be. Just remember, property taxes are based on assessed value. The goal of this project is to reassess all properties, and we want the new assessments to reflect fair market value. Market value is the most probable price that a property should bring in a competitive and open market, where the buyer and seller are acting prudently, knowledgeable, and assuming the price is not affected by undue stimulus. What that means is that it's not a foreclosure sale, so it's not a bank sale. It's not a divorce sale where one party's buying out the other. It's not a sale from a relative, either from cousins or from a parent to a child. It's an open market sale. People don't know each other. They negotiate a price that's considered a fair market value. How's market value determined? Well, the assessor does not create market value. I don't create market value. Market value is determined by the interactions of buyers and sellers. People get together and they put a house up for sale for X dollar amount. I'm going to make an offer to buy it from you for a certain amount. We negotiate and come to a price. That's considered market value. What we in the assessor do is monitor and analyze real estate transactions to establish market value estimates for all the properties in the town. We'll use comparable sales of properties that are most similar to yours to determine what the value of your property may be. Now we also have to, because we're not in Arizona, we're not in Florida, we don't have tract housing where, there's only 3 models in a 500 unit subdivision where we have properties that are identical. Everything's very unique and very different. So we try to pick comparables that are most similar in square footage, most similar in location, most similar in amenities.
Next question, or do you want me to wait till the end?
If we can wait to the end.
Yeah, sure.
So what drives market value? Most often what drives value is location. And location can be various different things. It could be a neighborhood that is most appealing. It could be properties that are in a certain school district. When you have multiple school districts in a municipality, one school district might be better than the others, and that's where all the younger folks want to live with their children. It could also be waterfront versus not a waterfront, the type of waterfront. There's a whole lot of different variables that comes into location. Market participants ultimately determine which neighborhoods are more valuable because they're paying more money for properties in those neighborhoods. What else drives value? Economic influences such as the demand for housing. So right now across the country, we have a historically low active listings for properties that are coming up for sale. We still have a large demand for those housing, which is what is driving up the value of properties. Now, interest rates and resulting buying power, I would say, used to be significant in the value of real estate. However, we've seen over the last 5 years, from when interest rates were almost free money at 2.3%, 2.6%, jump to 7%, we didn't see a decrease in sales. We didn't see a value decline in sales. If anything, it's actually the number of sales have been reasonably steady and values have continued to increase. As evidenced by the equalization rate in the town dropping every year, that's an indication of the property values in the town going up. Other things are availability of amenities and jobs, consumer desires, quality, condition, and amenities of the property. So we're going to do a reassessment of all the properties in the town. We're going to mail you a notice in the mail in March that's going to give you an estimate of what we think the assessed value should be. The question to ask yourself is the market value estimate that we come up with a reasonable representation of what you can sell your house for? Because that's the goal of this project. If the assessed value reasonably reflects market value, that's what we want for every property in the town. So one of our handouts was a project timeline. This is just another summary of that. So from now until around September, Tina and Dana are traveling around the town doing subject property data verification. July 1st, which is an important date, is the date evaluation for this project. So we look at market conditions and sales that have occurred up until July 1st, and then we stop. We don't consider any sales or any transactions that occur after that point in time. So now from right now into September, myself and my team are going to be doing sales and market data analysis and building valuation models to come up with new value estimates for properties in the town. And then September through December, we'll generate those new valuations and do valuation field review. So we'll be looking at all the properties again to make sure that the numbers that we're coming up with reasonably reflect market value. March 1st is another important date. It's a taxable status date. What that means is on that date, we have to value all the properties in their condition as of March 1st. So that applies to properties like new construction. So we can put a partial exemption on a newly constructed house. But if it's only 50% complete, we're only going to add 50% of the building value because the house isn't completed yet. It also affects whether or not, if you have a garage or a barn that comes down after March 1st, it's going to be on the tax roll because it was still up as of March 1st. Also around March 1st is when we will send the assessment disclosure notices to all the property owners in the town. Now, what the assessment disclosure notices is, it will tell you what your 2025 assessed value is, and have an estimate of the property taxes that you paid in 2025. It's going to be reasonably close to the actual number that you paid. It will also have an estimate that will say a 26 estimate, but really what that is if all of our assessments were in place when the 2025 tax calculations took place, that would be the effect of all of the new assessed values on your personal tax liability. During probably February, March, and maybe into April, we'll conduct informal meetings with property owners in town. These meetings can be, they're by appointment only. 2, they can be either in person. We can do them remote, like via Zoom or Teams meeting. They can be phone call conversations. We'll also accept information through email and mail. What these meetings are for is for property owners to meet with us, myself, and one of my teammates, one of our teammates, to understand how we got to where we got to. A lot of people, obviously the room's not filled, so a lot of people may not even know that we're doing this. So they're going to have questions on why we did it, how we did it, how we came up with our values. They may think that our value estimate is unreasonable. They'll give us reasons why they think that. Once we're done with that, we may make changes to assessed values based on information that we gather, because we look at the informal meeting as an exchange of information. This is what we know about your property, but we only look at it from the outside. Tina and Dana are going around looking at all the improvements. We're looking at it from the road, but we don't know what's going on the inside of the house. We don't know if there's any easements, encroachments, or limitations on that property. And through the informal meeting process is when we learn a lot of that information. So we may make changes up until May 1st, which is kind of the assessment roll. As of May 1st, the assessment roll is frozen. The assessor can't make changes, I can't make changes. The only one that can make change or recommend changes is the Board of Assessment Review, which is the next step, which is May 26th, formal grievance day. On formal grievance day, if you feel that your assessed value does not reflect market value of your property, you can file a formal grievance. That's by filling out a form. It's an RP 524 form, including all supporting documentation, and getting it to the assessor prior to May 26th. At that point in time, you can have a hearing and make your presentation to the Board of Assessment Review, or it could be a non-hearing. They'll just review your information, and the Board of Assessment Review will make a determination of should there be a value change. The Board of Assessment Review is made up of members of the Town of Webb who volunteer. Sort of. But they're all local residents, and they review all the information. They review the information that Tina may provide on the sale and the information that we have on the property. Review what the homeowner submits and recommend or a change or no change. After that, we get to the final assessment roll, which is July 1st. So additional information regarding the assessments and the job of the assessor can be found at these websites. These websites, I suggest you go to the Town of Webb Assessor's website first. There's a lot of helpful links there, a lot of information. links to other information, and as well as our project, information on the project. So our company set up a email address just for this project. If people need to submit any information to us or want to contact us, it's web@klwgroup.com, or you can contact us by phone, or you can contact the assessor's office as well.
You can call me anytime.
And with that, thanks for coming. And now I can answer your question.
So first one, so for a property on Big Moose Lake, are the comparables only Big Moose Lake? Is it lakefront property in the town of Webb, only within X miles? Like, how extensive are the comparables? Because one of the things, forget taxes, but just on real estate, you got one property out of 300 selling a year. So comparables are really hard to come by in general, and that works for you pick a lake or you pick a place. Right. You got volume helps. So the question is, what is your analysis going to be for?
I don't have a absolute answer to that. Ideally, we would want all of the sales to come from Big Moose Lake. If we're working on Fourth Lake, we want them all to come from Fourth Lake. So that's the ideal situation. We haven't really started our sales analysis. There's a lag of when sales are filed at the county enters them into their database, they send the information to the assessment office, they enter it into their database. Now all that's in there, now we're going to start looking at what sales we have. So I don't even know the count of how many sales for each different neighborhood and each different area of the town. Ideally, they would all come from Big Moose.
And is it just for the calendar year, the last 12 months? Is it going to be the last 36 months?
We're probably looking at the last 2 years, for certain, back into 23. But it all depends on how many sales, what that pool of sales looks like from that point in time.
And do you have a cutoff of a statistical sample size of the number sold versus the property tax base? Like, do you have any indicators like that? So you're just gonna look at it and figure it out when you get there.
Right. Well, I don't have any specific numbers yet. That's analysis.
But you've done this before, so.
I've been doing this since 2004.
Okay, so you run it. If you haven't done it for us, you've done it for somebody where, in some cases, you lack statistical volume. Like you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, a year ago, I did a community or municipality of 1,100 parcels. I think 120 of them state-owned forest land. Another, I can't remember how many. 60 were rural Section 8 non-taxable because of the school. It came out, there was 592 houses, and it was a multiple waterfront community. Sales there are extremely limited, but we were able to figure it out.
Okay. Another question about the assessment time frame. So you're going to assess the property September to December, but the assessment status date is March 1st. Why the delay? Why don't you make the status date as soon as you're done doing all the assessments?
So,
not that much will happen between December 31st and March 1st because there's a lot of snow on the ground, but
I don't know why it's March 1st. It's by state law. I know why our valuation date is July 1 of the prior year for that tax roll, because our valuation date, we have to pick a date and what is the market conditions at that time. The reason they pick July 1 is that gives us more than 6 months to do the analysis, the updates, and apply new values. We also have to have a cutoff date that's the same every year, because the state does an analysis, the Equalization Board does an analysis from 1 year to the next to determine what's happening within that community. So they go July 1 to June 30th, look at the sales and the relationship between the assessed value and the sale prices of those properties, which is how they determine the equalization rate. Taxable status date, I don't know the actual reason why it's March 1st. It's March 1st for probably 90 to 95% of the municipalities in the state. And it's adopted by, I think it's adopted by the town. Goes back probably years and years and years. You can change the date by town resolution, which doesn't really happen a lot because it's set, it's kind of like, this is the date.
So property taxes will change July 1st going forward, but one of the taxes is school taxes and the other one is.
So here's the cycle. So we use the valuation date to come up with an assessed value.
Yeah.
We have to consider the condition of the property as of March 1st, okay, for that assessed value. That assessed value doesn't become final and used until after July 1st. So for this project, July 1st of 2026, the values will become the values to be used in tax calculation. The first time those values will be used will be September of 26 for the school tax calculation, and then January of 27 for town and county.
Okay.
So the roll cycle also goes from July 1 to July 1.
So, Tina, when you send out, or you send out the assessment disclosure notices, is that just gonna be the assessment, or is that gonna be the information that you have on file that's on the property? Because
It will be just the
Just the
assessment. But when we do go out data collecting, and if we make any changes to your property, you will receive an inventory letter in the mail to make sure that whatever we updated, you're aware of, and you'll be able to look at your inventory that way.
or what you had in the file, is it? Because like my personal property,
Yes,
I don't have central heat.
right,
I've just got a freestanding
Right.
stove that
Right.
reflects in the record from before.
right.
I just, when they're doing fair market value,
That will be in the record.
that's. in
Plus,
the
you
record.
can also, if you go to our website, there's a link to the Town of Webb ImageMate, SDG, and on there you can check your inventory of
Right.
everybody's
I
parcel.
may call you on that or.
Yeah, come over, just stop in the office anytime. I'll help you.
And when the new assessments come out, are those assessments, when they come out March 1st, are they gonna be on the county's website so we can compare properties?
They'll hopefully be on the Town of Webb ImageMate. Hopefully we'll be able to get that updated. That is a hope.
I mean, that's the only way we can compare.
I know,
Right.
I know it
And,
is. And we're
until,
gonna do-
until the assessments come, then that's when,
The person who owned SDG has sold it to a company out in Ohio, India, somewhere. And so we're having we signed a contract with them so that we can maintain the website but we're still struggling.
because that's the only way
So-
we can compare properties, if we know properties there.
Exactly.
To go in there and see it.
Right, if you were to go to the town website, kind of where I'm hovering here, this link, will take you to what's called ImageMate Online, and that will have all the properties for the town of Webb. Don't go to the county, go to the town.
That's what we used to do, is
Go to the county. The county is only updated once a year.
Okay.
Okay, we will make sure that, okay, I can say this definitively in the past when it was SDG, is we will contact the people at SDG to make sure that that data gets updated and refreshed before the notices go out. All the inventory is refreshed on a regular basis, and then when we mail the notices, once we know they're in the mail, we'll update the information and it'll show a preliminary assessed value in red. Switching over to Schneider.
Yeah.
We purchased SDG. I've met with the people from Schneider. They absolutely promise that the functionality of their product and the transition to their product, it's going to be exactly the same. But I haven't worked with any of the people yet. So,
Like you said, properties are unique. Some of them got cellars, some got crawl spaces, some are just sitting on piers,
Right.
some are built, So when you're going by market value, are you going by square footage?
go by square footage. We go by property class. Okay, because you have throughout the town you have a mixture of seasonal residences. Okay, and what would be single-family homes, houses that could be used year-round.
Right.
Even though they might be second homes and people only use them part of the time of the year, they're built as year-round houses.
Right.
But you do have, you know, cottages and houses that were, you know, they're built, nobody's gonna stay there in the winter.
Right.
Or very difficult. So first we pick by property class, and then we try to go by building style. And then we start comparing amenities, or, you know, we try to get the ones that have the most similar square footage. And then we start comparing amenities. We make adjustments for differences. Do you have a basement? Do you have a crawl space? Heat, no heat, you know, exterior, you got porches, decks, patios, barns, garages.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so you just said barns, that's another question, because I know we've dealt with this. Whole buildings, are you depreciating them, because are you looking at a depreciation value of outside barns, garages, or pole structures, because they're usually only a 20-year life expectancy?
Yes.
So how are you
Yes.
looking at those?
You look at the contributory value to the total value.
Of how many years it's been there, how many years it has on that pole building yet, or whatever.
Correct.
Okay. And then, I guess the other question, because we all know that you can't go in, but how are you gonna, it's a dirty subject. How do you, these guys have got it and rebuild the inside.
It's not an exact, but a lot of things we get from the code office, we get building
But
plans.
if they didn't go to code,
Exactly.
I mean, I can
They
name
don't-
5 properties right now.
And plus
I can name 6 that are renting that ain't got permits.
nowadays, exactly, nowadays though, they do catch them, and everybody's putting their pictures online, okay? The rentals, the sales, their interior pictures.
Are you pulling that data as
We
part
do
of your
pull that
assessment?
data,
Okay, that makes
yeah.
sense.
Because like the rentals, I know guys are renting it by word, they're not putting it on the
Right,
website,
right.
so
So-
you're not gonna catch them up.
Yeah, it's
And
not.
I know a bunch of them that have got the insides, I mean, it happens down home, they look like shit on the outside, they're Taj Mahals on the inside.
Yeah.
You know, and I know, believe me,
And it goes the other way too. You look at a house that, you know, look at an old style house that has reasonably newer vinyl siding, newer roof, newer
Right.
windows,
the inside can be dated.
nice landscaping, maintained, nice detached garage, and then you meet with the homeowner and go inside, and the wallpaper in the living room is from 1920.
Right.
The kitchen is still from 1920, right? It goes both ways.
I know it does,
And
and it's the same way with maintenance on a driveway. You know, they tried to assess me, not up here, down home, because I blacktop my driveway. I go, wait a minute, I blacktop my driveway once, or I put 40 ton of stone in every year. It's maintenance, and we got that straightened out too. Yeah, it's an amenity, but you're not putting all that money into maintenance every year to the driveway either. So that's always a catch-22, and I get it. I've been involved with it, I get it.
We look at these things, you know, people will put on vinyl siding, or they'll paint their house, replace the roof, replace some windows.
Right.
That's regular maintenance of a house. Those are systems of the house that deteriorate over time and have to be replaced, right? So just because you replace a roof doesn't mean your value goes up.
Yeah.
Just because you painted your house or put siding on it doesn't mean your value is going to go up. Now, if you go and you replace the roof, the siding, all the windows, the doors, rebuild the front porch, got everything down to studs,
Right.
rebuild everything, now we're talking something different.
Right.
But just regular maintenance of a house, we know has to occur, and how did I say it this morning, or last night? Just because you do that doesn't mean that, you know, we're not gonna penalize you for taking care of it.
That's right.
Because I know the last time we did it, the information was wrong. That's why I was asking if the information was coming out with assessment, other than what you
No,
have in
yeah, you
file.
can look now online, you can
I'll
stop
get
in the
there.
office.
I'll stop
And I'll
in.
probably be sending you a letter,
Yeah.
because I don't think we had your patio collected, that's under your canopy,
I just put it in, that's maintenance, so I don't have to stone it.
so.
When
And it's not gonna,
No, I know, but that, my wife's been bitching about that since it was done. She wanted concrete there because
Yeah.
it's stone tracked.
it does.
It gets in the vacuum cleaner.
It's hard to throw, there was done by is covered.
I would also like to say too that even though we do go online and look at interior pictures, we just use that to confirm number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms. We don't, you know, I don't want people to think that we take, you know, your beautiful decorations and say, oh, they got beautiful decorations and jack up their assessment. No, I don't work like that. I don't work like
It's kind of unfair too if we're looking at the inside of their house and we're not looking at the inside of
No, I know.
Exactly.
And that's been the stickler for years on property taxes, let's face it. It's too bad we can't come up with a better system, but to get revenue, but no.
Question on property type, like you mentioned, like vacation homes that are only available 3 months a year for whatever reason. How does that, if at all, impact the assessment? Because, you know, if you're only here 3 months a year, you're not consuming services 9 months a year, and you know, and including, you know.
But if it's built to heat 12 months a year, the value of it is a year-round home.
We don't, and this is I think your question goes more to taxes than to assessments, right? So we're focused on the assessed value of that property.
Right.
Okay.
Not what the town of Webb does once they get the taxes.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. We're looking at the assessed value. What that seasonal residence, why it's important to know that it's a seasonal residence or not, is because we want to select comparables that are also seasonal residences.
Right.
We don't want it to select you have a 1,200 square foot open, completely open with bunks, you know, in there. You got a kitchen, a living room, and a bathroom. We don't want to compare that to a 1,200 square foot ranch that somebody can live in their rent. So we want to be able to make sure that we're picking seasonal residences as comparables. What that means for the value, we don't know because it's all dependent on what the property sells for.
And they seem to be selling as much as a year round anymore too. That's the worst part.
Right.
And there's no way to change, you know, if you have a year-round house, but you only come here 2 weeks out of the year, or 3 months out of the year, we can't control it. That's your personal, that's your, you know, that's.
So I get this.
So what services you use or don't use, you know.
So on the Town of Webb side, what sensitivity, if there is, if any, on the fact that there could be people that are going to get their taxes jacked up, but they don't really use services, maybe their road doesn't get plowed,
There's no way to determine that.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
But you could if you know, like, oh, here's my tax base, but I haven't repaved that road in 10 years. But I repaved Main Street on Old Forge 5 times in the last 10 years. I mean, somebody knows, right?
That's not something we can answer.
Yeah,
so you can answer, but you're not.
No,
I got it. Okay.
Yeah, but we're not raising.
No,
she
can't. The assessor, this is all about an assessment problem.
That's up to Ronnie Baker.
It's not a taxation problem.
Right.
That you would have to take to the town board.
No, I got it.
Now I could answer you personally, but I won't. Not as the assessor, but my own personal opinion, but I won't get into that. And how I feel about those things.
Right.
They're not raising people's taxes because they got their road paid. You know, like that's not up to them.
Up to who?
Up to the property owner. Like if they get their road paved, it's a town road or it's a
I know, it's up to
road.
the town to decide what gets paid when. But
the point is that if your road hasn't been paved or it was gravel and the town now paves that road, they're not going to increase your assessment and make you pay more money.
Like our garbage services just got cut back. So we have less garbage service, but our taxes in here are going to get jacked up. Like, I'm okay saying we need to pay more than our fair share, but also kind of cutting the numerator when you're increasing the denominator just seems a little unfair, but okay. That's just
I'm sorry that you're having that problem, but.
Yeah.
That's the other meeting.
Yeah.
We
could do anything.
Hey, another thing, more of a curiosity, because you're not going to find on my property, but violations. So assessor comes in there, goes, oh, here's a property. Oh, that's a lot bigger than I saw in the last time. And oh, by the way, there's another building over there, and that doesn't have a permit. I'm assuming this assessment is going to have a downstream effect of, oh, you need permits for that, there's a violation.
We may catch some of those things.
I mean, not inside,
I'm
but
not-
outside,
yeah.
because you're not going
And-
inside, but,
And part of that problem, I will admit to, is I spent 17 years in the code office before I became the assessor. So I do tend to look at those things and see that.
yeah.
But no, I'm not running to the code office with every shed that I have found that doesn't have a permit or didn't have a permit. Now, if it's a major project going on, or a
If you find a
life
house that's not on file, then.
yeah, or a life safety issue,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna let them know
Yeah.
what I find.
Yeah.
But
I was
I
just more
also
of
think that the
curiosity.
code office would probably shoot me if I went over there with every little thing I found.
Yeah, you get 10 years of work probably.
You know.
So, yeah, if it becomes a safety issue because, you know, they're building something big and it's not, I mean, that's why you have building permits, to make sure it's built right, you know?
Right.
So if it's big enough to be a safety issue, then
That's what's supposed to happen when they cut a house, but it isn't up here. They'll do it in the fall when nobody's around or whatever,
Right.
and redo the whole inside of the house wiring and everything, or something that didn't have a C of O before, that was an empty room, and now it's a livable room that nobody knows about,
Right.
that's on the inside.
And the hard part too is our
I just
town is so big that the code officers can't get everywhere.
can't do it.
Right.
You can't
And
monitor
they don't have eyes in the back.
somebody's
And you can't just drive down the street because
No.
Right.
it's.
So we do rely on, you know, neighbors, but you know, people don't. Some people do, and some people don't.
Too many words.
Yeah, yeah.
Too much force.
Yeah,
You know,
but, you know, I mean, I see stuff every week up here, you know, I mean, it's,
we should
All the
deputize
big,
you.
all the big stuff is
Deputize
done
him.
for sure, but it's all the small
they
stuff.
did that down home, they called me the deputy, code guy, the deputy, town clerk, it's funny.
Yeah, we just,
At the Ford dealership, I'm the director of operations, you know, so.
yeah, we just did a project in down there at the Pennsylvania border, half the size of this town. We found 4 houses on parcels that are marked vacant land.
Yeah,
They're built without, 100% without permits.
Wow.
yeah.
They never went through code office?
Hey, just think, you're not in a spot where there's a flood, all the houses
I
are
know.
gone.
I know,
Down in North Carolina, where my daughter is, that mess down there.
yeah.
So-
Assess and stuff.
So I know you can't absolutely answer this, but I have been the stats guy, so I know you can kind of figure stuff out.
Yep, and if
If
I
you
don't
look
know
at,
it, I will look it
Like
up.
your example, the 2 houses that were 200,000 and one was 600,000, one was 400,000. You're saying in general, over the last 13 years, the Town of Webb properties have increased on average 57%. Do you kind of have a range of what you think that looks like? Like places that didn't really increase that much are going to go up Y amount, and places that are very desirable are going to go up X amount?
No, we haven't gotten that far. So, over the past few years, the town of Webb as a whole has increased in value by about 43%, because we're at 57 now.
Okay.
What that is, though, is it's a statistical analysis by the Board of Equalization and that works with the Office of Real Property Tax Services. What they do is they analyze sales on an annual basis, all the sales that occur in a municipality, to determine what is happening with the values of the property in relationship to the assessed. Now, what happens is they every neighborhood, every location, every property type gets lumped together on this equalization. But the major driving factor is the sales, and you get your most sales from improved residential property. What we have seen in other areas is that, one, different areas of the town are not going to appreciate it the same thing. You know, you might have, and I don't know if this is the case, maybe all the properties in Old Forge in town are going up 1% a year. Well,
I feel like I should jump into the conversation since I just bought.
where, other areas say,
You're welcome to
there's-
join.
No, thank you, no.
What is it, the south side of Fourth Lake, maybe those are going up at 12%, right? Altogether, they went up 3.5% over 1 year. That all gets lumped together, including vacant land, including commercial. And we know that vacant land is not appreciating in general in general, vacant land is not appreciating at the rate as improved residential. Commercial properties, especially office space, is not appreciating anywhere near the same rate. In fact, in large municipalities, office space is depreciating in value because of the lack of tenants. Their vacancy rates have increased exponentially.
And the town of Webb will only increase the overall tax by 2% year over year.
The town board, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but, so,
On the
like,
budget.
let's just say if lake
That's what's left
property,
of the levy after
right,
all the contributing factors.
right.
It's like,
Well, so lake property, let's say lake property goes up 200% and you're in Old Forge and it goes up 30%.
Right.
Really what it means is when you rebalance that, it means, that's what I'm trying to figure out the math. And I'm just saying, like, you guys probably know you're not gonna tell anybody, but I'm just saying, if you had a range, it would certainly be a lot easier than just everybody having a heart attack until next March when you tell me how much my taxes are really going.
To be honest with you, I don't even know because I have not looked at a list of sales that occurred yet. By neighborhood, by property type, I haven't even gotten, this is what we're gonna start doing next week.
The
Yeah.
sales are on the website, property sales, there is a tab there. So
Yeah, but that doesn't really help the, like, how much effectively, because in a sense, what's gonna happen is.
No, but it'll give you a general idea of what things are selling for and what they were assessed for and how things are gonna change.
if something out of Lake was assessed at $1 million and they sold it for $4 million, he's gonna pay more tax.
No, I got that, but
You know.
part of it is if there's only 20% of the houses go up 200% and 80% of the houses go up only 30%, and you can only have the aggregate go up by 2%, that's a different number than if 80% of the lake houses went up by 80%. Anyway,
It's still tax per 1,000, you know, it's like in my case, I'll use my case, I talked to Tina about it earlier. She can't assess on a sale. So for the last 12 years, these sales haven't been reassessed. I got a person that I know that's assessed at the person that died's VA rate for the last 12 years.
yeah.
I put an addition on, I got hit. I've been paying for the last 9 years on my addition, and everybody else has been skating.
Yeah.
So I expect that my assessment might go up, but my taxes will go down, because my addition's already on there.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the whole thing. It's that, and that's why this should have been done 10 years ago.
In increments as opposed to waiting.
Every 2 years instead of waiting 12.
And I also like
13.
to say that we're all in the same boat, you know, we all own property here.
Yeah.
So we're all waiting with bated breath for his numbers to come out and to see what it's going to do to our properties. You know, and we try to figure it out ourselves and, you know, but, I mean, my neighbor's house just sold for $460 and it was assessed at $183. So
Right.
I don't have the clothes to live in my own house anymore. I'm not fancy enough for to
Yeah.
live in a $500,000
Yeah, but it's not
neighborhood.
really important how much
You
the
know.
houses went up, it's the differential that
It
counts.
is, you're right.
So if, you know, raising tide floats all boats, if all houses go up 57%, then everybody gets a 2% tax rate, but, you know, if
Yep,
some houses go up 200% and some houses go up 30%, then somebody's gonna get sucked.
Well, you're gonna see that, I think, because of
Yeah.
the way lake
Right.
property and stuff went up. We
Yeah.
all know that's went skyrocketed.
waterfront
above.
properties are
Yeah.
selling for more money.
So some people are gonna get a rude awakening.
Yeah, I got it.
But their property is worth more. I mean, that's just the nature of the,
That's the nature of living there.
yeah.
Got it.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Anybody else have
Any
any
other
more
questions?
questions? On the last page in that booklet, there's, our website is listed there, yep, our telephone number, the office, my email. Call anytime, email with any questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer and get back to you.
You said the county only updates their list of sales once a year?
Their image made.
Their image made online.
Yeah.
But we have our own.
Yeah, okay.
So it gets confusing because people will go to urban counties and like, I don't even think the pictures are up there.
Yeah, because I was looking at one from November, I know it was a sale, and they haven't updated it at all.
So ours, we need to update ours, but we've updated it since then.
So
But
you usually update it on a rolling basis as it comes in?
I do try to do it at least twice a year,
but
but
now we'll
we've been
have to.
trying to do it.
Because we've been making changes to, you know, because to be honest, like a lot of these properties have changes.
Yeah.
You know, because there's so many of them. And in the last 12 years, I don't think it's been,
And not always, you know, structures have come away, you know, sheds have gone away, canopies have fallen down with all the snow we had, so it's not just,
Right.
you know,
it's not
Well,
just
and it's
that.
like, it's like to slip through the cracks. I got a person that I watched that put an addition on, had a permit. I know they had a permit. Put a whole addition on in the kitchen, never changed. Because it went through the assessor, it never, for some reason, they didn't get that addition into the assessor's office, or he missed it. The
right,
assessment never changed. I watched it, and I watched it, and I watched it, it still ain't caught up. You know, you're gonna catch it now with the measurement, if you're measuring buildings,
right.
you know, but that stuff happens too. I mean, it's not an exact process by any stretch of the word. And hoping all these young guys up here are gonna do a better job than what's been done. And women.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not always politically correct.
It's tough these days.
Yeah, I know. But appreciate you guys' time.
Yeah,
It's not an
thanks.
easy job.
Thank you, I appreciate you
Thank you
guys.
for coming up.
Yeah.
Pleasure.